For numbers 19 through 26, evaluate the following. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be converting it into radical form and then simplifying, remembering to reduce before we expand. I'll write that down at the top and you can do the same. I also wanted to remind you of all the rules that we did in a previous example at the top right. So I kind of put that front and center. You are going to need to study those on your own or put them at the top of your page at the start of the test. So first off, what we need to do is convert this into radical form. Remember, a fraction exponent means it's a radical with a 3 here, 216 here, raised to the first power. I'm going to erase to the first power because it's not important. It's invisible. Then I need to think to myself, blank, blank, blank equals 216. And think to yourself, or take out the power rule. And since 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216, well, the answer is 6. Now, this is a negative afterthought. So when I convert it into radical form, the negative is out front, 125 underneath, 3 squared. And this is where we kind of checked off the first one. Now I'm going to reduce first. Now, if you're going to take 125 squared, you're going to have a bad time because that's a ridiculously large number. Instead, I'm going to think about it like this. And remember, I'm allowed to either take the radical first or expand it first. Our strategy is always reduce and then expand. So we're looking for blank times blank is 125, and you all know that to be 5. And then I have negative 5 squared. Now, I didn't get lazy. This is not negative 5 altogether squared. This is simply a 5 squared. And PEMDASs do that first, and then put a negative. So we know that 5 squared is 25, and there's a negative in front, which is my answer. 25 is slightly different because I need to, when I convert it to radical form, I need to take care of the negative first. Well, negative means fraction bar. Move it. So it's going to be 1 over 25 to the positive half. And we know that 1/2 is the same thing as square root. Now, again, you could put the invisible 1. You could put the invisible 2. I'm going to choose not to. I'm going to leave it there for a second for you to understand. So the square root, the second root, the 2 root. Now I'm going to erase that because it's understood. When it's not written there, it's just a simple square root. We know the square root of 25 is 5 on bottom. This one is a very typical one, 81 square root, because it's a fraction exponent. It's not a square root, it's a 4th root, and then I'm going to cube it. So I'm thinking this times this times this 4 times is 81, little hint. Is that an even number? No. So don't check any evens. Don't check 2 or 4 or 6. I'm going to check 3. Does 3 work? It sure does. So this is going to be 3. And then I'm going to cube that is 27. This one is the same as before, except there's a negative. And this is a negative afterthought. Realize it's not the negative that's being raised. It's just a negative afterthought. So I know for a fact my answer is going to be negative. Maybe I can even do that so I don't forget. Negative answer. Now I'm going to take this 8, and I'm going to take the cube root of it, square it, and then remember that there's a negative afterthought. Okay, well, the cube root of 8 is 2, squared is 4, negative 4. Now, this is a gift. Anytime you see a 0 exponent, oh, thank your lucky stars. 0 exponent goes away, becomes a 1. That's what this says up here. So the question is it negative 15 to the 0 or negative 15 all raised to 0? And the answer includes the parentheses or not. In this case, it does not, so the answer is negative 1. Number 25 is just like number 21. Let's do it. And your answer is 1/4 with the work shown. 26 is interesting because the negative is underneath. And similar to number 7, 8, and 9, I think it is, same strategy, negative 4 is your answer.